The stars looked different in the Kepler sector. Captain Nix Vell had been patrolling these empty regions for over 2 cycles now, and the loneliness of deep space never got easier. The crystalline hull of the Silent Wing caught the light from distant suns and scattered it in beautiful patterns across the bridge. It was one of the few pleasures of commanding a patrol vessel in the Outer Rim. "Captain, we are approaching grid 77 Alpha," reported Navigation Officer Temco from her station. Her voice carried the musical quality that all Velkari possessed, but it held notes of boredom. There had been nothing to report for weeks. Nix Vell nodded and adjusted his position in the command chair. The bioneural interface connected to his spine hummed softly as it linked his consciousness to the ship's systems. Through the connection, he could feel the Silent Wing's pulse like his own heartbeat. The ship was healthy and alert, its stealth systems running at optimal efficiency. "Maintain standard patrol speed," he ordered. "Keep all sensors active. The High Command wants detailed scans of every system in this sector." The bridge was quiet, except for the soft whispers of air recycling and the gentle hum of electronics. 6 crew members worked at their stations, each one connected to the ship through their own bioneural links. It was the Velkari way. Ship and crew were one organism, moving through space with purpose and grace. Nix Vell had been commanding patrol vessels for 15 cycles. He knew every sound his ship made, every vibration that traveled through her hull. The Silent Wing was not a large vessel by Velkari standards, only 300 meters from nose to tail, but she was perfect for long-range reconnaissance. Her stealth systems could hide her from almost any sensor array known to exist. "Sir," called out sensor specialist Yethnal, "I am detecting some unusual energy patterns from the next system." The captain's attention sharpened. Anything unusual in these empty regions was worth investigating. "What kind of patterns?" "Unknown, sir. The signature is very faint, but it does not match any known Velkari technology. It could be natural phenomena, but—" Yethnal paused, checking his readings again. The patterns seemed too regular for nature. Nix Vell felt a small thrill of excitement. In all his cycles of patrol duty, he had never encountered anything truly mysterious. The galaxy was well mapped by Velkari explorers. Every major civilization was known and catalogued. Most were far less advanced than the Velkari, still struggling with primitive chemical rockets or basic fusion drives. "Plot a course for the source of those readings," he commanded, "and activate full stealth protocols. If there is something unknown out there, we will observe it carefully before making contact." The Silent Wing changed direction smoothly, her gravity drives making no sound. As they adjusted the ship's vector, around the hull, stealth fields began to bend light and deflect sensor beams. In minutes, the patrol vessel would be nearly invisible to any detection system. Commander Taemin stood on the bridge of the Dauntless and watched the stars through the main viewing screen. The human exploration vessel was much smaller than the alien ship tracking it, only 150 meters long, but her crew of 24 was highly trained and motivated. They had been operating in alien space for 3 months now, carefully mapping territories and recording everything they observed. "Any change in the alien vessel's course?" Taemin asked his tactical officer. Lieutenant Hana checked her instruments and shook her head. No, sir. They are still maintaining their patrol pattern. Our passive sensors are picking up some kind of energy field around their hull, but I cannot get clear readings on their capabilities. Taemin nodded. The aliens had been easy to track despite their stealth technology. Human sensors worked differently than most species expected. Instead of looking for energy signatures or heat patterns, human detection systems looked for the spaces where things should be but were not. It was a technique that had served them well in their brief time exploring beyond Earth's solar system. They seemed to be investigating something, reported communications specialist Ensign Jin Aye. I am picking up increased activity on their internal communication channels. Can you translate any of it? Not yet, sir. The computer is still working on their language patterns, but the tone suggests curiosity rather than alarm. Taemin considered their situation. The Dauntless was operating under strict orders to observe alien civilizations without making contact. Earth's government wanted to understand what humanity was facing before revealing their presence to the galaxy. So far, they had cataloged 17 different species, most of them centuries ahead of human technology. Maintain our distance, he decided. Keep monitoring their communications. If they discover something interesting, we need to know about it. The bridge of the Silent Wing had grown tense as they approached the source of the energy readings. Captain Nix Vell could feel his crew's excitement through the bio-neural network that connected them all. After weeks of empty space, they had finally found something worth investigating. Contacts on long-range sensors, reported Yethnal. 2 vessels in the target system. One appears to be moving on a patrol pattern similar to our own. The other is different. Different how? It is much larger, sir, and the energy signature is unlike anything in our databases. The readings suggest massive power generation, but the technology appears crude compared to our own systems. Nix Vell felt his pulse quicken. An unknown civilization with powerful but primitive technology. It could be a dangerous combination. Can you determine their capabilities? Not from this distance, sir. We would need to get closer for detailed scans. The captain made his decision quickly. Take us in, but keep us hidden. I want to know everything about these ships before we consider making contact. The Silent Wing glided deeper into the system, her stealth fields bending space around her hull. The crew worked in focused silence, each one monitoring different aspects of the unknown vessels ahead. On the Dauntless, alarms began to sound softly at tactical stations. Lieutenant Hana looked up from her console with surprise. Sir, we have a massive hyperspace signature incoming. Something big is about to drop out of FTL right on top of us. Commander Taemin felt his blood turn cold. How big? Huge, sir. The signature is at least 10 times larger than anything we have seen from the aliens. And it is moving fast. Taemin grabbed the communications panel. This is the Dauntless to all Earth vessels in the region. We have an unknown large contact approaching our position. Recommend immediate. His words were cut off as space itself seemed to tear open just a few thousand kilometers away. The hyperspace rift blazed with exotic energies as something enormous began to emerge from the dimensional fold. Captain Nix Vell watched in stunned silence as the largest artificial object he had ever seen dropped out of hyperspace. The ship was massive beyond belief, easily 2 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull was angular and brutal, covered in armor plating thick enough to stop planet-killer weapons. Along its sides, weapon emplacements tracked across space with mechanical precision. "By the eternal void," whispered Navigation Officer Temco. "What is that thing?" Nix Vell could not answer. His bio-neural interface was overwhelmed by the ship's sensor readings. The vessel radiated power on a scale that defied belief. Its fusion reactors could power entire Velkari cities. Its weapon systems could reduce moons to debris. And somewhere, in the back of his mind, a terrible thought began to form. This was not just a ship. This was a weapon of war built by a species that understood destruction on a galactic scale. The Silent Wing held position in stealth mode, her crew frozen in awe and terror as they watched the human battleship Indomitable complete its emergence into normal space. The Indomitable hung in space like a dark mountain against the stars. Captain Nix Vell tried to make sense of what his sensors were telling him, but the readings seemed impossible. The massive human warship was over 6 times larger than any vessel in the Velkari fleet, yet it appeared to be built with technology that was centuries behind their own. "Sensor report," he ordered, his voice barely steady. Yethnal worked frantically at his station, trying to process the flood of data. "Captain, the vessel appears to use fusion reactors for power generation. Very primitive by our standards, but the scale is enormous. They have at least 12 major reactor cores, each one the size of our entire engine room." Science Officer Kethra looked up from her bio-neural interface, confusion clear in her large eyes. "Sir, this makes no sense. Their technology is crude, but their power output rivals our most advanced dreadnoughts. How is this possible?" Nix Vell had no answer. In all his cycles of service, he had never encountered anything like this. The Velkari had always been the masters of space technology. Their ships were elegant works of art that flowed through the void like living creatures. They used clean energy from quantum cores and moved through space by bending gravity itself. But this human ship was different. It was built like a fortress, all sharp angles and thick armor plating. Where Velkari vessels curved and flowed, this monster was all straight lines and brutal efficiency. It looked like it had been designed by engineers who cared nothing for beauty and everything for raw power. "Continue scanning," Nix Vell ordered. "I want to know everything about this vessel. What are its weapons? How many crew does it carry? What is its purpose?" On the bridge of the Dauntless, Commander Taemin watched the alien patrol ship through his own sensors. The small, crystalline vessel was maintaining perfect stealth, but human detection systems could still track it by the gravitational disturbances it created in space-time. "The alien ship is not moving," reported Lieutenant Hana. "They appear to be studying the Indomitable." Taemin nodded grimly. He could understand why. The Indomitable was one of Earth's newest battleships, designed specifically for deep space warfare. Her arrival in this system was not planned. but Admiral Subin had probably received the same intelligence reports that brought the Dauntless here. "Any communication from the Indomitable?" he asked. Communications specialist Jin shook her head. "Nothing on standard channels, sir. They may not know we are here. And they definitely do not know about our alien friends," Taemin muttered. He opened a channel to his tactical officer. "Hana, what is your assessment of the alien vessel?" "Small but sophisticated, sir. Their stealth technology is impressive. If we had not been specifically looking for gravitational anomalies, we might have missed them completely, but they do not appear to be heavily armed." Taemin studied the tactical display. The alien ship was tiny compared to the Indomitable, probably no more than 300 meters long. It looked more like an exploration vessel than a warship. But appearances could be deceiving, especially when dealing with unknown technology. "Keep monitoring both ships," he decided. "If the aliens make any aggressive moves toward the Indomitable, we intervene immediately." Aboard the Silent Wing, the crew worked in tense silence as they continued their analysis of the human battleship. What they were discovering disturbed Captain Nixvel more with each passing minute. "The vessel carries approximately 3,000 crew members," reported Kethra. "That is more than most of our space stations." "And the weapon systems?" She paused, checking her readings again. "Captain, I count over 200 separate weapon emplacements. Kinetic cannons, plasma batteries, missile launchers, point defense, systems. This ship is armed for total warfare." Navigation Officer Tem Ko looked up from her station with wide eyes. "Sir, I am detecting launch bays along the hull. They appear to carry smaller attack craft as well, perhaps 50 or more fighter vessels." Nixvel felt a chill run down his spine. The Velkari military doctrine had always been based on elegant solutions to conflict. Their ships carried defensive systems and precise weapons designed to disable, rather than destroy. The idea of building a vessel whose only purpose was mass destruction was alien to their way of thinking. "What kind of species builds something like this?" whispered sensor specialist Yethnal. It was a question that troubled all of them. The human ship represented a level of militarization that the Velkari had never encountered. Even the most aggressive species they knew built multi-purpose vessels that could serve as explorers, traders, or diplomats when needed. But this human construct served only one purpose: war. "Captain," said Kethra urgently, "I am detecting activity aboard the human vessel. Their weapon systems are powering up." Nixvel felt his heart skip a beat. "Are they targeting us?" "No, sir. They appear to be conducting some kind of systems check. But the power levels they are generating—" She paused, checking her instruments again. "Sir, their main battery alone could destroy our ship with a single shot." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Silent Wing was not a warship, but she carried enough defensive systems to protect herself from most threats. Against this human monster, their defenses would be as useful as paper armor. "Maintain stealth protocols," Nixvel ordered quietly. "Do not give them any reason to notice us." On the Indomitable, Admiral Subin stood on her command bridge and reviewed the tactical situation. The massive warship had dropped out of hyperspace exactly where intelligence had predicted, in a system that should have been empty of hostile forces. "Sensor sweep complete, Admiral," reported her tactical officer. "No contacts detected. The system appears clear." Su-Bin nodded. "Very good. Begin standard patrol procedures. I want full spectrum scans of all planetary bodies and asteroid fields. If there are any hidden bases or mining operations in this system, I want to know about them." The Admiral was a veteran of humanity's first contact with alien civilizations. She had been present at the Battle of Proxima, where human forces had first encountered the aggressive Zeltharian Empire. That battle had taught humanity an important lesson. In a galaxy full of advanced alien species, only the strongest would survive. "Ma'am," called out her communications officer, "we are receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command." "Put it through to my ready room," Su-Bin ordered. "Commander Park, you have the bridge. Continue system analysis while I take this call." As the Admiral left the bridge, her crew continued their work with quiet efficiency. The Indomitable was crewed by some of Earth's finest military personnel, men and women who had trained their entire lives for deep space operations. They knew their ship was humanity's answer to the technological superiority of alien civilizations. Where aliens had elegant technology, humans had overwhelming firepower. Where aliens built graceful vessels, humans constructed floating fortresses. It was not a pretty solution, but it was an effective one. Commander Taimin watched the developing situation with growing concern. The Indomitable was conducting standard patrol operations, unaware that every move was being observed by alien sensors. Meanwhile, the alien vessel remained hidden, studying the human battleship with what could only be described as scientific fascination. "Sir," reported Hana, "the alien ship is transmitting something. Very low power, highly encrypted. Can you intercept it?" "Already working on it, sir. But their encryption methods are unlike anything in our databases. It will take time to decode." Tae-min suspected he knew what the aliens were transmitting. Intelligence reports, detailed analysis of human technology and capabilities, information that would soon reach whatever government or military command the aliens served. The question was, what would they do with that information? "Keep monitoring," he ordered, "and prepare a message drone for immediate launch to Earth Command. They need to know that humanity's military capabilities are no longer secret." The Indomitable moved through space like a predator stalking its prey. Admiral Su-Bin had completed her call with Earth Command and returned to the bridge with new orders. The battleship's mission had changed from routine patrol to active reconnaissance of this sector. "Helm, adjust course to bearing 27 Mark IV, she commanded. "Take us closer to that asteroid field. I want detailed scans of every rock larger than a shuttle." The massive warship turned slowly, its bulk requiring careful maneuvering even with advanced thruster systems. Along the hull, weapon turrets rotated automatically to maintain optimal firing angles. The ship's computer systems tracked thousands of potential targets simultaneously, ready to engage any threat within seconds. Captain Nix Vell watched the human vessel change direction and felt his breath catch in his throat. From this distance, he could see details that made his skin crawl with fear. The Indomitable was not just large, It was a masterpiece of destructive engineering. Every surface served a purpose related to warfare. "Captain," whispered Science Officer Kethra, "look at their hull configuration. Those are not decorative elements. Every projection, every angle is designed to deflect incoming fire or house weapon systems." Nix Vell studied the tactical display showing the human ship's profile. She was right. Where Velkari vessels were built for beauty and efficiency, this human construct was built purely for survival in combat. The thick armor plating could probably withstand direct hits from plasma cannons. The angular design would scatter energy, beams, and deflect kinetic projectiles. "How many weapons do you count now?" he asked. Sensor specialist Yethnal worked frantically at his console. "Over 300 separate systems, sir, and those are just the ones we can identify from external scans. There may be internal weapons we cannot detect." The number was staggering. The entire Velkari defense fleet carried fewer weapons than this single human vessel. What kind of species needed such overwhelming firepower for exploration missions? "Sir," called out Navigation Officer Temko, "the human ship is deploying something from its launch bays." On the main display, small objects began emerging from openings along the Indomitable's hull. They moved with purpose, spreading out in formation around the massive battleship. "Fighter craft," identified Kethra. 36 vessels, each one approximately 20 meters in length. They appear to be conducting patrol sweeps around their mothership. Nix Vell felt his mouth go dry. Even the small fighter craft looked heavily armed. Each one carried weapons that could probably destroy the Silent Wing with ease. The humans were not just militarized, they were militarized at every level of their technology. Commander Taemin watched the same display from his position aboard the Dauntless. Admiral Subin was following standard Earth-Navy protocols for deep space operations. Deploy fighters for close protection, conduct detailed scans of the local area, and maintain full combat readiness at all times. The alien vessel is still maintaining position, reported Lieutenant Hana. They are continuing to observe our operations. Any change in their energy signatures? No, sir. They appear to be running silent. Minimal power usage except for sensors and life support. Taemin nodded. The aliens were being careful not to reveal their presence to the Indomitable. That suggested they were either peaceful or afraid. Given the size difference between the ships, he suspected it was the latter. Jin Ai, any progress on decoding their transmissions? Communications specialist Jin Ai looked up from her console. Some progress, sir. Their language uses mathematical concepts as a base structure. Very logical and precise. I think they are transmitting technical data to somewhere outside this system. What kind of technical data? Specifications of the Indomitable, sir. Hull dimensions, weapon counts, power output estimates. They are conducting a very thorough intelligence-gathering operation. Taemin felt a chill run down his spine. The aliens were studying human military capabilities and reporting back to their superiors. This first contact scenario was rapidly becoming a potential security threat for all of humanity. Continue monitoring, he ordered, and prepare a detailed report for Earth Command. They need to know that our military secrets may no longer be secret. Aboard the Indomitable, Admiral Subin studied the sensor reports from her fighter patrols. The asteroid field showed signs of ancient mining operations, probably abandoned for centuries, but the mineral composition was interesting. Rich deposits of rare metals that would be valuable for ship construction. "Commander Park," she called to her second-in-command. "What do you make of these mineral surveys?" Commander Park examined the data on his tablet. "Excellent resources, Admiral. These asteroids contain enough refined metals to build a small fleet. Whoever mined here before knew what they were doing." Subin nodded thoughtfully. Earth's expansion into space required vast amounts of raw materials. Finding pre-processed metals was like discovering treasure. But the question remained: who had done the original mining, and where were they now? "Continue scans," she ordered. "I want to know everything about this system. If we are going to establish mining operations here, we need to be sure we are not stepping on anyone's territory." The Admiral had no way of knowing that representatives of that territory were watching her every move from less than 10,000 kilometers away. Captain Nix Vel received an urgent transmission from Velkari High Command. The encrypted message appeared on his personal display, marked with priority codes he had never seen before. "Captain Nix Vel, you are ordered to maintain observation of the unknown vessels, but under no circumstances are you to reveal your presence. Continue gathering intelligence until further orders. The High Council is convening an emergency session to discuss your reports. Fleet Admiral Keth Moore." Nix Vel felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. His routine patrol mission had become something much more significant. The intelligence he gathered here could determine the future relationship between the Velkari Empire and these mysterious humans. "Keth Ra," he called softly, "I want you to focus your scans on their technology. Try to determine their level of scientific advancement. Are they more primitive than they appear or more advanced?" The science officer nodded and bent over her instruments. After several minutes of careful analysis, she looked up with confusion. "Captain, their technology is contradictory. Their fusion reactors are crude by our standards, using simple magnetic containment. But their computer systems appear incredibly sophisticated, more advanced than our own in some ways. How is that possible?" "I do not know, sir. It is as if they developed along completely different technological pathways than any species we have encountered. They seem to favor brute force solutions backed by extremely complex control systems." Nix Vel pondered this information. Most species followed predictable patterns of technological development. Energy systems advanced together with computer technology. Weapons evolved alongside defensive systems. But these humans seem to have developed each technology independently, creating combinations that should not work, but clearly did. One of the human fighter craft passed close to the Silent Wing's position during its patrol sweep. Nix Vel held his breath as the small vessel's sensors swept across their location. But the Velkari stealth systems held, bending light and energy around their hull until they were invisible to all but the most sophisticated detection methods. The fighter pilot saw nothing and continued on his patrol route, unaware that he had just passed within a few hundred meters of an alien starship. "Sir," whispered Yethnal, "I am detecting energy buildup in the human battleship's main weapons. They appear to be preparing for some kind of test." Nix Vell felt his blood turn cold. What kind of test? Unknown, sir. But the power levels suggest they are preparing to fire their primary armament. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Subin gave the order that would change everything. Weapons officer, I want a demonstration of our main battery. Target that large asteroid at bearing 317, full power shot. Let's see what this ship can really do. The massive battleship's primary weapons began to charge, drawing power from all 12 fusion reactors. Along the hull, armored shutters opened to reveal the barrels of guns larger than subway tunnels. In the darkness of space, the Silent Wing waited and watched as humanity prepared to show the galaxy exactly what it was capable of. The weapon systems of the Indomitable hummed with deadly energy as they prepared to fire. Admiral Subin stood on her bridge and watched the tactical display show target acquisition locks on a massive asteroid roughly the size of a small moon. The rock had been floating in space for millions of years, but in the next few seconds it would cease to exist. "All weapons report ready, Admiral," announced the weapons officer. "Main battery charged to full power. Target locked and confirmed." Subin nodded calmly. "Fire when ready." Captain Nix Vell felt his bio-neural interface surge with alarm signals as the human battleship's weapons reached maximum charge. Through his connection to the Silent Wing, he could sense his ship's sensors struggling to process the energy readings they were detecting. "Captain," gasped Science Officer Keth Ra, "the power levels are impossible. They are channeling more energy through those weapons than our entire fleet could generate." "How much power?" Nix Vell asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know the answer. "Approximately 50 terawatts, sir, focused into coherent beams. The energy density will be—" She paused, checking her calculations. "Sir, those weapons could crack a planet's crust." Nix Vell stared at the tactical display in horror. The Velkari had always prided themselves on being the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Their weapons were precise and efficient, capable of disabling enemy vessels without unnecessary destruction. But what he was seeing now was not precision warfare. It was the power to destroy worlds. "All crew, prepare for sensor overload," he ordered. "When they fire those weapons, the energy release may damage our instruments." On the Dauntless, Commander Taman watched his own sensors spike as the Indomitable prepared to demonstrate human firepower. He had seen the main batteries fire before during training exercises, but never at full power. Even from this distance, he could feel the electromagnetic buildup in space around the massive battleship. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Ha-Na, "the alien vessel is powering down its sensors. They appear to be preparing for some kind of energy surge." "Smart aliens," Taman muttered. "They know what's coming." He opened a communication channel to his crew. "All hands. This is the commander. Secure all sensitive electronics and prepare for electromagnetic pulse effects. The Indomitable is about to give our alien friends a demonstration of human engineering." The main guns of the Indomitable fired simultaneously, and space itself seemed to scream. 4 massive particle beams lanced out from the battleship's hull, each one carrying enough energy to power a city for a year. The beams crossed the void in seconds and struck the target asteroid with devastating effect. The asteroid, which had survived unchanged for millions of years, simply vanished. The enormous rock was instantly converted to superheated plasma that expanded outward in a brilliant sphere of destruction. The explosion was visible from hundreds of thousands of kilometers away, lighting up the entire system like a newborn star. Captain Nix Vell felt his ship shudder as the electromagnetic shock wave from the explosion washed over them. Even through their stealth fields and armor plating, the Silent Wing was buffeted by the after effects of the human weapons test. "Damage report," he called out as his crew worked to restore their systems. "Minor overloads in secondary sensors," reported Navigation Officer Temco. "But all primary systems are functional, the stealth field held." "Sir," whispered Sensor Specialist Yethnal, "the asteroid is gone, completely gone. There is nothing left but expanding plasma and debris smaller than dust particles." The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed what they had witnessed. The human ship had just erased a mountain-sized asteroid from existence in less than 3 seconds. The implications were terrifying. "What kind of species builds weapons like that?" asked Keth-Ra in a voice barely above a whisper. Nix Vell had no answer. In all the known history of the galaxy, no civilization had ever developed such destructive capabilities. The Velkari philosophy of warfare was based on precise application of force to achieve specific objectives. But these humans seemed to believe that overwhelming destruction was the answer to any problem. "Continue monitoring," he ordered quietly, "and prepare a detailed report for High Command. They need to know exactly what we are dealing with." Aboard the Indomitable, Admiral Subin nodded with satisfaction as the weapons test concluded successfully. The main battery had performed exactly as designed, delivering precise destruction to the target with no collateral damage to her own ship. "Excellent shooting," she announced to her crew. "All weapon systems performed within normal parameters. Stand down from firing positions and secure all batteries." Commander Park approached her with a tablet full of sensor data. "Admiral, the test results are impressive. We achieved 100% target destruction with minimal power drain on the reactors. The new focusing systems are working perfectly." Subin studied the data with professional interest. The Indomitable represented the latest in human military technology, incorporating lessons learned from their first encounters with alien civilizations. Where aliens relied on elegant energy manipulation and sophisticated defensive systems, humans had chosen a different path. Overwhelming firepower backed by advanced targeting computers. "Any debris large enough to be dangerous to navigation?" she asked. "Negative, Admiral. The target was completely vaporized. Particle density in the target area is now below background levels." "Good. Continue with standard patrol operations. I want full scans of the remaining asteroid fields. We need to catalog all potential resources in this system." The Admiral returned to her command chair, unaware that every detail of the weapons test had been recorded by alien observers. To her, it was a routine demonstration of ship capabilities. To the Velkari, it was a glimpse into a species that had weaponized destruction on a galactic scale. Commander Tae-Min felt sick as he watched the plasma cloud that had once been an asteroid continue to expand through space. He had known the Indomitable was powerful, But seeing that level of destruction delivered so casually was disturbing even to a military officer. "Ginny," he called to his communications specialist. "Any reaction from the alien vessel?" "Yes, sir. Massive increase in transmission activity. They are sending constant updates to what appears to be a command structure outside this system. The mathematical content suggests detailed technical specifications." "They are reporting what they saw," Taemin realized. "Every detail of our weapons capabilities is being transmitted to alien intelligence services." Lieutenant Hana looked up from her tactical console with concern. "Sir, should we interfere with their transmissions? We could jam their communications without revealing our position." Taemin considered the option. Jamming alien communications would prevent them from reporting human capabilities, but it would also reveal that humans were aware of their presence. That could escalate the situation into something much more dangerous. "Negative," he decided. "Let them transmit, but continue monitoring their communications. I want to know everything they are telling their superiors about us." On the bridge of the Silent Wing, Captain Nix Vel received another priority transmission from Velkari High Command. This message carried codes he had never seen before, indicating maximum security clearance. "Captain Nix Vel, your reports have been reviewed by the High Council and the Military Command. You are ordered to continue observation, but begin immediate withdrawal preparations. Do not engage or reveal your presence under any circumstances. A full battle fleet is being dispatched to your location, but it will not arrive for several cycles. Until then, you are our only source of intelligence on these humans. Exercise extreme caution." Fleet Admiral Keth Moore. Nixvel felt the weight of responsibility settle even heavier on his shoulders. The fate of the Velkari Empire might depend on the intelligence he gathered in the next few hours. But more importantly, he was beginning to understand that humanity represented a threat unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Keth Ra," he said quietly, "I want you to analyze everything we recorded about their weapons test. Power output, beam coherence, targeting accuracy, reload time, everything." "Already working on it, sir," she replied. "But, Captain, the preliminary results are disturbing. Their weapons technology is at least a century ahead of our own, despite their primitive power systems." Nixvel nodded grimly. The humans had found a way to combine brute force engineering with sophisticated control systems to create weapons of unimaginable power. And if they could do that with their battleships, what other surprises were hiding in human space? The Indomitable continued its patrol through the asteroid field, unaware that its every movement was being studied by alien observers. Admiral Subin had ordered a comprehensive scan of the system, and her crew was methodically cataloging every rock, ice formation, and mineral deposit they encountered. "Admiral," reported the science officer, "we are detecting signs of previous mining operations throughout this field. The extraction patterns suggest advanced technology, but the sites appear to have been abandoned for at least 2 centuries. Subin studied the data on her command display. Ancient mining sites were always interesting from both scientific and strategic perspectives. They could reveal information about previous civilizations while also indicating valuable resources that might still be available. "Any signs of current activity?" she asked. "Negative, Admiral. All sites appear completely abandoned. but the mineral extraction was extremely efficient. Whoever operated here had technology at least equal to our own. This information troubled Subin more than she let show. Humanity had encountered several alien civilizations since venturing into deep space, but most had been either primitive or isolationist. The idea that an advanced species had operated in this region and then simply vanished raised uncomfortable questions. Captain Nixvell watched the human ship's systematic exploration with growing unease. The silent wing had been observing for hours now, and every minute brought new revelations about human capabilities. Their sensors were more sophisticated than they appeared. Their computers processed information at incredible speeds, and their crew worked with mechanical efficiency that suggested extensive training and experience. "Sir," whispered Science Officer Kethra, "I have completed my analysis of their weapons test. The results are disturbing." "Report," Nixvell ordered, though he dreaded what he might hear. "Their main weapons appear to be particle accelerators of enormous size and power. They can generate coherent beams with energy densities exceeding anything in our databases. But more concerning is their reload time. Those weapons can fire again in less than 30 seconds. Nixvell felt his blood run cold. 30 seconds between shots that could destroy moons. A single human battleship could lay waste to an entire fleet before the Velkari could mount an effective response. What about their defensive capabilities? Extensive, sir. Their armor plating is at least 3 meters thick across the entire hull. Layered construction with multiple materials designed to absorb different types of weapons fire. And their point defense systems... She paused, checking her readings. "Sir, I count over 400 individual point defense weapons. Small, fast-tracking systems that could intercept missiles, fighters, or energy beams." The implications were staggering. The human ship was not just heavily armed, it was heavily defended. Any attack against it would face overwhelming defensive fire, while return strikes would carry planet-killing force. "Sir," called out sensor specialist Yeth Nall, "the human ship is deploying additional craft from its launch bays. On the main display, more objects emerged from the Indomitable's hull. But these were different from the fighters they had seen before. Larger, more heavily built, moving with deliberate purpose toward the abandoned mining sites." "Analysis?" requested Nixvell. "They appear to be engineering vessels, sir, equipped with mining equipment, construction tools, and heavy manipulation arms. They are beginning survey operations at the old mining sites." Nixvell realized what he was witnessing. The humans were not just exploring this system, they were preparing to claim it. Those engineering vessels would assess the remaining resources and begin extraction operations within days. This was not a patrol mission. It was the beginning of human expansion into Velkari space. Commander Tae-min watched the same deployment from his position aboard the Dauntless. Admiral Subin was following standard Earth expansion protocols. Survey the system, assess resources, establish preliminary mining operations, and prepare defensive positions. It was efficient and thorough, but it was also aggressive by galactic standards. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Ha-na, "the alien vessel is showing increased activity. Their power signatures suggest they are preparing to move." "Which direction?" "Unknown, sir, but their engines are warming up for what appears to be a departure from this system." Taemin considered the implications. If the aliens were leaving, they were probably returning to report what they had observed. That meant human military capabilities would soon be known throughout whatever government or alliance the aliens represented. Jin A. Any luck with their language patterns? Communications specialist Jin A looked up from her console with excitement. Yes, sir. I have managed to decode portions of their transmissions. They are definitely military communications, reporting to something called the High Command. And, sir, they are not just observing us. They are conducting detailed intelligence analysis. What kind of analysis? Technical specifications, weapons capabilities, crew estimates, tactical assessments. Everything they would need to plan either diplomatic contact or military action. Taemin felt a chill run down his spine. The first contact scenario he had been hoping for was rapidly becoming a potential military situation. The aliens had been gathering intelligence on human forces for hours, and soon that information would be in the hands of their military commanders. Aboard the Indomitable, Admiral Subin received a priority communication from one of her engineering teams operating near the mining sites. Admiral, this is Commander Lee aboard Mining Platform 7. We have discovered something unusual at Extraction Site Delta 4. Define unusual, Commander. The mining equipment left behind by whoever operated here before. It is still functional, Admiral, and the technology is more advanced than our own. Subin felt her pulse quicken. Functional alien technology was exactly the kind of discovery that could change the balance of power in human space. Secure the site immediately. I want a full analysis team deployed within the hour. Already done, Admiral. But there is something else. The technology appears designed for a species with different physical characteristics than humans, larger frames, different hand configurations. We may be looking at the remnants of a non-human civilization. This was the confirmation Subin had been hoping to avoid. The mining sites were not ancient human colonies, they were alien installations. And if the aliens had operated here recently enough to leave functional equipment behind, they might still consider this system to be their territory. Continue your analysis, but maintain full security protocols, she ordered, and prepare detailed reports for Earth Command. They need to know we may not be alone in this sector. Captain Nix Vell made his decision as he watched the human engineering teams begin detailed analysis of Velkari mining equipment. The humans were not just exploring, they were studying Velkari technology with the same methodical approach they applied to everything else. Navigation. Plot a course back to High Command. Maximum stealth. Indirect route through the nebula fields. Yes, sir, replied Navigation Officer Temko. Estimated travel time 18 hours. Kethra, I want your complete analysis ready for transmission the moment we reach communication range. Include everything. Weapons capabilities, defensive systems, crew estimates, tactical assessments, and most importantly, evidence that they are studying our technology. The science officer nodded grimly. Already prepared, sir. But, Captain, based on what we have observed, I must recommend immediate military mobilization. These humans represent a threat level we have never encountered. That recommendation will be included in my report, Nix Vell assured her. The Silent Wing began its careful withdrawal from the system, using gravitational shadows and stellar interference to mask its departure. Behind them, the human battleship continued its methodical survey operations, unaware that it had just been classified as a galactic-level threat by one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Commander Taman watched the alien vessel begin its departure and opened a secure channel to Earth Command. The message he was about to send would change everything for humanity. Their secret exploration of alien space was over. Within days, human military capabilities would be known throughout the galaxy. The question now was whether humanity was ready for what came next. Admiral Subin stood in the engineering bay of the Indomitable, studying the alien mining equipment her teams had recovered from the asteroid field. The technology was unlike anything in Earth's databases, using principles that human science was only beginning to understand. "What is your assessment, Dr. Kim?" she asked the ship's chief science officer. Dr. Kim looked up from his analysis station, excitement clear in his eyes despite the serious situation. "Admiral, this technology is remarkable. They use quantum field manipulation to extract minerals at the molecular level. No heat, no waste, perfect efficiency. Our best mining equipment is crude in comparison." Subin examined the smooth, crystalline device that had been doing the work of an entire human mining platform. "How long would it take to reverse engineer this technology?" "Months, maybe years. The mathematics involved are incredibly complex. But, Admiral, if we could understand how this works, it would revolutionize human industry." The Admiral nodded thoughtfully. Advanced alien technology could give humanity a significant advantage in its expansion across the galaxy. But it also raised troubling questions about who had built these devices and where they had gone. "Continue your analysis, but maintain strict security protocols," she ordered. "I want to know everything about this technology before we report it to Earth Command." Captain Nix Vell piloted the silent wing through the outer edge of the system, using the gravitational pull of a gas giant to mask their departure. His crew worked in tense silence, knowing that they carried information that could change the fate of the Velkari Empire. "Sir," reported Navigation Officer Temko, "we are clear of the human sensor grid. Safe to increase speed." "Do it," Nix Vell ordered. "Best possible speed to High Command. Use emergency navigation protocols if necessary." As the ship accelerated toward the nebula fields that would hide their journey home, Science Officer Keth Ra approached the captain's station with her final analysis. "Sir, I have completed my assessment of human military capabilities. The results are worse than we initially thought." Nix Vell braced himself for bad news. "Report. Their battleship carries enough firepower to destroy our entire home defense fleet. But that is not the most concerning aspect. Sir, based on their operational patterns and crew efficiency, I believe this is not their most advanced vessel." "Explain." "The humans conduct their operations with routine efficiency. No excitement, no special procedures. To them, this level of destructive capability is normal, standard, which suggests they have vessels that are even more powerful." Nix Vell felt his heart skip a beat. If the Indomitable was a standard human warship, what did their truly advanced vessels look like? "Furthermore," Keth Ra continued, "their discovery and analysis of our mining technology shows they are capable of rapid technological adaptation. They study our equipment the same way they study everything else. Methodically, thoroughly, and with clear intent to understand and improve upon it. The implications were staggering. Not only were humans militarily superior, they were also capable of rapidly advancing their technology by studying alien equipment. Any conflict with them would only make them stronger. Commander Taemin received a coded transmission from Earth. Command while monitoring the alien vessel's departure. The message was brief, but carried maximum priority codes. Commander Taemin, you are ordered to maintain observation of all alien activities in your sector. New intelligence suggests multiple alien civilizations are present in nearby systems. Prepare detailed reports on all contact scenarios. Additional human vessels are being dispatched to your location. Exercise extreme caution. Admiral Chen, Strategic Command. Taemin realized that the situation was escalating beyond a simple first contact scenario. Earth Command was mobilizing additional forces, which meant they considered the alien presence to be a significant threat. Hana, he called to his tactical officer. What is the status of the alien vessel? Departing the system, sir. They are using a complex navigation pattern through the outer planets, probably to avoid detection by the Indomitable. Time to clear the system? Approximately 6 hours at their current speed. Taemin made his decision. Jin-A, prepare a secure transmission to Earth Command. Include everything we have observed about alien capabilities, technology, and intentions. Priority Alpha classification. Yes, sir. But, Commander, should we also warn the Indomitable about the alien presence? Taemin considered the question carefully. Admiral Subin was operating under the assumption that the system was uninhabited. She had no idea that alien forces had been observing her every move for hours. But revealing the alien presence might escalate the situation into open conflict. Negative, he decided. We maintain observation protocols, but prepare to intervene if the situation becomes hostile. Aboard the Indomitable, Admiral Subin called a meeting of her senior staff to discuss the alien technology they had discovered. The conference room was filled with her most trusted officers, each one sworn to secrecy about what they had found. Gentlemen, ladies, she began, what we have discovered here changes our understanding of this sector. We are not dealing with abandoned ruins. We are dealing with technology that was functional until very recently. Commander Park studied the data files on his tablet. Admiral, some of these mining sites show signs of activity within the last few months. Whatever species operated here, they may have only recently abandoned these installations. Which raises the question, added the chief science officer, where did they go? And why did they leave? Subin had been wondering the same thing. Advanced civilizations did not simply abandon valuable mining operations without good reason. Either they had been forced to leave by external pressure, or they had found something more valuable elsewhere. Continue analysis of the alien technology, she ordered, but also begin defensive preparations. If the previous occupants of this system decide to return, I want us ready for any situation. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent call from the bridge. Admiral, we are detecting multiple hyperspace signatures approaching the system. Large vessels, unknown configuration. Subin felt her blood run cold. How many vessels? At least 12, Admiral. Possibly more. ETA approximately 4 hours. The Admiral dismissed her staff and rushed to the bridge. Through the main viewing screen, she could see the distant flashes of ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. They were too far away for detailed scans, but their formation suggested military organization. "All hands, this is the Admiral," she announced, over the ship's communication system. "We have multiple unknown contacts approaching our position. General quarters. This is not a drill. Prepare for possible combat operations." Captain Nix Vell received an urgent transmission from Velkari High Command just as his ship entered the B nebula fields. The message carried emergency codes that made his spine tingle with alarm. "Captain Nix Vell, advance elements of Battle Fleet Zeta are en route to your location. ETA 4 hours. You are ordered to return to the system immediately and maintain surveillance of human forces until fleet arrival. Do not engage unless directly threatened. Fleet Admiral Keth Moore." Nix Vell stared at the message in shock. Battle Fleet Zeta was the Velkari Empire's most powerful military formation. 12 heavy cruisers and supporting vessels, carrying enough firepower to sterilize entire planets. The High Command was not taking any chances with the human threat. "Navigation! Reverse course!" he ordered. "We are returning to the system." "Sir?" asked Navigation Officer Temco in surprise. "The fleet is coming," Nix Vell explained. "And we are going to have front-row seats for the first military confrontation between humans and the Velkari Empire." As the Silent Wing changed course and headed back toward the system, Captain Nix Vell wondered if he was about to witness the beginning of an interstellar war. The humans had demonstrated their destructive capabilities. Soon, the Velkari would demonstrate theirs. The question was whether either species would survive the encounter. The bridge of the Indomitable hummed with urgent activity as Admiral Subin prepared her ship for potential combat. The unknown vessels approaching the system had maintained radio silence, but their formation and approach vector suggested hostile. "Intent! Tactical report!" she ordered as she took her position in the command chair. 12 large vessels, Admiral," reported the tactical officer. "Configuration unknown, but sensor readings suggest advanced technology. They are maintaining formation and approaching at sublight speed." Subin studied the sensor display showing the approaching fleet. The vessels were elegant in design, with flowing curves that reminded her of sea creatures rather than the angular construction of human ships. But elegant did not mean harmless. "Weapons status? All systems ready, Admiral. Main battery charged and standing by. Point defense systems online. Fighter squadrons prepared for launch." "Communications?" No response to our standard greeting. "Protocols, Admiral. They are either ignoring us or using communication methods we do not recognize." Subin made her decision quickly. "All hands battle stations. Launch all fighter squadrons for defensive patrol. Prepare to engage if fired upon, but do not fire first. We may be looking at first contact with an alien civilization." Throughout the massive battleship, crew members rushed to their combat positions. The Indomitable had been designed for exactly this type of situation, and her crew had trained extensively for first contact scenarios that might turn hostile. Captain Nix Vell guided the Silent Wing back into the system using maximum stealth protocols. The small patrol vessel was invisible to most sensors, but he knew the approaching Velkari fleet would detect him the moment he sent an identification signal. "Sir," reported sensor specialist Yethnal, "I am detecting massive energy buildup from the human battleship. They are preparing for combat." Nix Vell felt his mouth go dry. The humans had detected the approaching fleet and were preparing to fight. What he was about to witness could be the first battle between humans and the Velkari Empire. "Open a channel to Fleet Admiral Kethmore," he ordered. "Emergency priority." The holographic image of the Fleet Admiral appeared on the bridge of the Silent Wing. Kethmore was an ancient Velkari warrior whose bio-neural implants glowed with the wisdom of centuries of combat experience. "Captain Nix Vell, report your status," the Admiral commanded. "Sir, I have returned to the system as ordered. The human battleship has detected your approach and is preparing for combat. They have launched fighter squadrons and powered up all weapon systems." Fleet Admiral Kethmore's expression darkened. "Are they taking aggressive action?" "No, sir. They appear to be adopting defensive positions. But, Admiral, based on my observations of their capabilities, a direct confrontation would be catastrophic for both sides." "Explain." Nix Vell transmitted his complete tactical analysis of the Indomitable. "Sir, their single battleship carries firepower, equivalent to 4 of our heavy cruisers. Their weapons can destroy asteroids the size of small moons in seconds. And this appears to be a standard vessel in their fleet." The Fleet Admiral studied the data with growing concern. "Are you certain of these assessments?" "I witnessed their weapons test personally, sir. They completely vaporized a massive asteroid without apparent effort. Their technology is crude, but incredibly effective." Fleet Admiral Kethmore was silent for several moments as he processed this information. The Velkari Empire had not faced a military threat of this magnitude in over 1,000 years. "Maintain observation, Captain. Do not reveal your presence to either fleet. I will attempt diplomatic contact with the humans before taking any military action." Commander Taemin watched the developing situation with growing alarm. The alien fleet had arranged itself in what appeared to be a battle formation, while the Indomitable had adopted a defensive posture. Both sides were preparing for combat, but neither had fired the first shot. "Sir," reported communications specialist Jin A., "I am detecting a new communication signal, very sophisticated, using mathematical principles as a base language. Can you decode it?" "Working on it, sir. The signal appears to be directed at the Indomitable. It may be an attempt at peaceful contact." Taemin felt a spark of hope. If the aliens were trying to communicate rather than attack, there might still be a chance to avoid a devastating battle. "Patch me through to Admiral Subin on emergency." "Frequencies," he ordered. "She needs to know about the alien communication attempt." On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Subin received Commander Taemin's warning, just as her communication officers detected the alien signal. "Admiral," reported the communications officer, "we are receiving a complex mathematical transmission from the lead alien vessel. It appears to be an attempt at communication." Subin felt relief wash over her. Mathematical communication was the universal method for establishing peaceful contact with unknown civilizations. The aliens were not attacking. They were trying. "To talk. All vessels hold position," she ordered. "Do not take any aggressive action. Attempt to respond to their communication using standard first contact protocols." Dr. Kim approached the Admiral's chair with his analysis tablet. "Admiral, I have been studying the alien ships through our long-range sensors. Their technology is far more advanced than ours in most areas. Energy manipulation, propulsion systems, even hull construction. But their weapons appear to be designed for precision rather than raw destruction. What does that tell us about their intentions?" "It suggests they are not a purely military civilization, Admiral. Their ships are multi-purpose vessels capable of warfare, but not designed exclusively for it, unlike our own battleships." Subin understood the implication. The aliens were probably as surprised by human military capabilities as humans were by alien technological sophistication. Both sides were operating from incomplete information and making assumptions that could lead to disaster. Fleet Admiral Keth Moore transmitted his diplomatic message to the human battleship using every mathematical and linguistic protocol known to Velkari science. The message was simple but crucial. "We seek peaceful communication. Do not attack. We will not attack." On his flagship, the heavy cruiser Starlight Harmony, Keth Moore waited for a response while studying the tactical situation. His fleet was positioned for either combat or withdrawal, depending on how the humans responded to his peaceful overture. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "analysis of the human vessel confirms Captain Nix Vell's assessment. Their weapons are primitive but incredibly powerful. A direct confrontation would result in massive casualties on both sides." Keth Moore nodded grimly. The Velkari Empire had always preferred diplomacy to warfare, but they were prepared to fight, if necessary. However, fighting these humans would be unlike any battle in Velkari history. "Continue attempts at communication," he ordered, "and prepare withdrawal coordinates in case diplomacy fails." Admiral Subin received the decoded alien message and felt hope return to her heart. The aliens were seeking peaceful communication, not war, but the situation remained delicate. With two powerful fleets facing each other in an empty system far from any neutral territory. "Transmit our response," she ordered. "Tell them we also seek peaceful communication. Request permission to send a small diplomatic vessel for face-to-face contact." The message was transmitted using the same mathematical protocols the aliens had used. Both fleets waited in tense silence for a response that would determine whether this first contact would end in friendship or warfare. Captain Nix Vell watched from his hidden position as the two most powerful military forces in the galaxy faced each other across the void. The next few minutes would determine not just the fate of both fleets, but the future relationship between humans and the Velkari Empire. In the distance, space itself seemed to hold its breath as two civilizations stood on the brink of either peace or war. The response from the human battleship came faster than Fleet Admiral Keth Moore had expected. The mathematical message was clear and direct. "We accept peaceful communication. Small diplomatic vessel authorized to approach. Maintain defensive positions. Kethmore felt relief wash through his bio-neural connections. The humans were willing to talk rather than fight. But he also understood that both fleets remained in combat positions, ready to unleash devastating firepower if diplomacy failed. "Prepare the diplomatic shuttle," he ordered. "I will meet with these humans personally. If we are to establish relations with such a powerful species, it must be done at the highest level." His tactical officer looked concerned. "Admiral, is it wise to expose yourself to potential danger? We know nothing about human intentions beyond their willingness to communicate." "That is precisely why I must go," Kethmore replied. "These humans have shown remarkable restraint despite their overwhelming military capabilities. They could have attacked us the moment we entered the system, but they chose to wait and attempt communication. Such wisdom deserves to be met with equal courage." Admiral Subin watched the small Velkari shuttle approach her battleship with professional interest. The alien vessel was beautiful in its design, with flowing lines that seemed to bend light around its crystalline hull. It was clearly built by a species that valued aesthetics as much as function. "Admiral," reported her tactical officer, "the alien shuttle is requesting permission to dock. They are transmitting technical specifications for their docking requirements." "Grant permission," Subin ordered. "But maintain full security protocols. I want armed escorts ready, but keep them out of sight. We want to appear welcoming, not threatening." Dr. Kim approached her command chair with excitement barely contained in his voice. "Admiral, this is historic. We are about to make formal first contact with an advanced alien civilization. The scientific implications alone are staggering." Subin nodded, but her mind was focused on the military implications. The alien fleet still maintained combat formation in the outer system. If this diplomatic meeting went badly, the resulting battle would be remembered throughout galactic history. "Prepare Conference Room Alpha for the meeting," she ordered. "I want our best translators and diplomats present, but keep the military presence minimal. These aliens have advanced technology. They will interpret any show of force as a threat." Captain Nix Vell maintained his hidden position and continued monitoring both fleets as the diplomatic shuttle made its approach to the human battleship. Through his bio-neural interface, he could feel his crew's tension as they witnessed this historic moment. "Sir," whispered Science Officer Kethra, "should we reveal our presence to the fleet? Admiral Kethmore may need our intelligence reports for the negotiations." Nixvell considered the question carefully. His mission had been to observe and report, but the situation had evolved far beyond simple reconnaissance. The intelligence he had gathered about human capabilities could be crucial to preventing a war. "Transmit our complete tactical analysis to the Admiral's shuttle," he decided, "but maintain stealth. If these negotiations fail, we may be the only witnesses to what happens next." The message was sent on a tight beam transmission that only the Admiral's shuttle could detect. Within minutes, Fleet Admiral Kethmore would have access to every detail of human military capabilities that the Silent Wing had observed. Commander Taemin watched the diplomatic shuttle dock with the Indomitable and felt a mixture of hope and concern. The aliens were taking enormous risks by boarding a human warship, but they were also placing themselves in a position where they could observe human technology firsthand. "Jin Ai," he called to his communications specialist, Monitor all transmissions between the fleets. If either side shows signs of preparing for combat, I want to know immediately. Yes, sir. But, Commander, I am also detecting increased activity from Earth Command. Additional human vessels are approaching this system. ETA approximately 6 hours. Taemin felt his heart sink. Earth Command was sending reinforcements, which meant they considered this situation to be a major threat. The arrival of additional human warships could be interpreted by the aliens as an act of aggression. Prepare a message to Earth Command, he ordered. Inform them that diplomatic contact has been established and recommend they delay any military deployment until negotiations are complete. The diplomatic meeting aboard the Indomitable began in Conference Room Alpha, with Admiral Subin facing Fleet Admiral Keth Moore across a polished metal table. The Velkari leader was tall and graceful, with the elongated features and large eyes typical of his species. His bioneural implants glowed softly with stored knowledge and experience. I am Fleet Admiral Keth Moore of the Velkari Empire, he began, speaking through a translation device that converted his musical language into recognizable English. I greet you in the name of peace and mutual understanding. I am Admiral Subin of the United Earth Federation, she replied. We welcome this opportunity for diplomatic contact between our peoples. Both leaders understood that they were making history, but they also knew that 12 alien warships still faced a single human battleship in the darkness of space outside. Admiral Subin, Keth Moore continued, we must speak honestly about the situation we face. Your vessel represents military capabilities that we have never encountered. Our intelligence reports suggest that your species has developed warfare technology far beyond anything known in this region of the galaxy. Subin chose her words carefully. Our military technology has been developed in response to the threats we have faced as we expanded into space. We have encountered hostile civilizations and learned that only strength ensures survival. We understand this philosophy, Keth Moore replied. But we must also inform you that this system contains installations belonging to the Velkari Empire. Your presence here, while perhaps unintentional, represents an intrusion into our territory. The room fell silent as both sides processed this information. Subin realized that her mining operations had been conducted in alien space, while Keth Moore understood that the humans had been unaware of Velkari territorial claims. We had no knowledge of your territorial claims, Subin said honestly. Our surveys indicated this system was uninhabited. If we have violated your space, it was done in ignorance, not hostility. Keth Moore appreciated the human admiral's directness. We believe this to be true. Our observers reported that your forces showed curiosity about our abandoned mining equipment rather than hostile intent toward our technology. Subin felt a chill as she realized the implications. Observers? A patrol vessel has been monitoring your activities since you entered this system. They reported your military capabilities to our high command, which prompted our response. The Admiral understood that every move her ship had made, every weapons test, every tactical deployment had been observed and analyzed by alien intelligence services. The humans' military advantages were no longer secret. Fleet Admiral Keth Moore continued. However, our observers also reported that your forces showed restraint and followed what appeared to be disciplined military protocols. This suggested that your species, despite its formidable military capabilities, operates under civilized rules of engagement. The negotiations continued for several hours, with both leaders working to establish a framework for peaceful coexistence. They agreed that the current system would remain under Velkari control, but that human forces would be allowed to withdraw without interference. More importantly, they established communication protocols for future contact between their civilizations. As the meeting concluded, both admirals understood that they had prevented what could have been a devastating war. But they also knew that this was only the beginning. Two powerful civilizations had made contact, and the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Nix Vel received orders to escort the human battleship to the edge of Velkari space, maintaining his stealth but ready to provide assistance if needed. The Silent Wing had played a crucial role in preventing a war by providing accurate intelligence that allowed both sides to understand the true costs of conflict. As the Indomitable began its withdrawal from the system, Admiral Subin knew that humanity's expansion into the galaxy had entered a new phase. They were no longer alone, and they were no longer unknown. The galaxy had seen what human warships could do, and that knowledge would spread to every corner of known space. The age of human anonymity was over. The age of galactic diplomacy had begun.